what was discussed.
Opia, more than 200 former NPA rebels sat down for merienda with President Duterte. That's more than 200 people who used to be part of efforts to destabilize the government, now sharing a meal with the nation's top leader inside the country's seat of power. For sure, this scene is something that these former rebels never imagined would happen. President Duterte met with NPA members who laid down their arms, surrendered, and agreed to return to the fold of the law and start a new life away from armed conflict. The president is doing this following his decision to scrap the peace talks with the Communist Party of the Philippines, which is the NPA's political arm, and amid recent threats from the CPP leadership of more attacks against soldiers. Now, this act by the president sends a message to NPA rebels still in the revolutionary movement that if they lay down their arms, they can start anew with the help of the government. In fact, the AFP has already said that 40 of these former rebels have met the basic entry requirements for enlistment to the AFP as CAFGOs, basically the AFP Civilian Auxiliary Force. Some of them will also be given training for livelihood programs like mushroom production so that they can be made aware of options on how to earn a living. Now, although our cameras were allowed to shoot at the start of the meeting, reporters weren't allowed inside. What we do know is that this is just the first of 3 batches of former NPA members who will be meeting with the president in Malacanang. Pia?
Ina Adalong there reporting from Malacanang.
NFA wants to import 250,000 metric tons of rice. But an interagency food council has yet to give the green light for the importation. Aquino says they have no choice but to wait it out. NFA's total inventory is now down to 1.2 million bags, which will last for only 2 days if the agency supplied rice to the whole country. But since only 6 to 10% of the rice in the market comes from the NFA, its stock should be good for 35 days.
Basing doon sa council meeting namin last time is that ang sabi nila, there's no need for NFA to import kasi mataas pa naman yung inventory ng bigas sa commercial
Retailers, meantime, say they have no choice but to hike prices as they buy directly from farmers who sell at 19 to 23 pesos per kilo.
Sa katunayan po, ma'am, ngayon po talagang nag-umpisa na ang pagtaas ng presyo. Dahil sabi ko nga po kanina, kulang na kulang po ang supply ng palay at bigas.
With its limited stock, the NFA has discontinued distributing rice to retailers because they cannot sustain supply once stocks run out. This would drive rice prices even higher. Instead, the agency supplies rice for relief operations into remote areas. As a solution, the NFA is suggesting the emergency purchase of rice and for the immediate activation of the standby order to import the 250,000 metric tons of rice. The agency appeals to consumers for understanding as they iron out this problem. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
Senate Committee on Agriculture Chairperson Cynthia Villar wants to investigate the shortage in the rice buffer stock of the NFA. Villar has filed a resolution directing the proper Senate committees to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the status of the NFA and its ability to ensure the stability of supply and prices of rice in the country. Villar says she cannot make sense of what happened so that the buffer stock of NFA rice is now good for only 2 days instead of the required 15.
Sila na short ng ganun, di ba? Trabaho nila yun eh. There are 2 ways by which they can buy stocks. Either they import or they buy from local farmers. Maghanap siya sa buong Pilipinas na makakabili siya at 17 pesos per kilo, di ba? Sabi nila, Visayas daw, mura lang dun eh. Oo. Pinagpipilitan niya Central Luzon. Siyempre, Central Luzon malapit sa Maynila. Mas mahal dyan.
The NFA Council insists there is a sufficient supply of rice. Speaking to CNN Philippines, NFA Council Chair and Cabinet Secretary June Abasco says tons of rice are still being delivered to the country until the end of the month.
There is incoming. In fact, it has been coming in rice from outside that is in accordance to the minimum access volume, which is 805,000 metric tons. In fact, the 325,000 metric tons is already getting into our country, and it will be finished. The delivery will be finished towards the end of this month.
On NFA administration's request to import 250,000 metric tons of rice, Evasco says there's no need for that now. He says that supply will be used in case of calamities. The House Justice Committee resumes the impeachment proceedings against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. The discussions focused on the income tax returns of the Chief Magistrate. Our Makoy Popioco joins us live from the Batasang Pambansa. Makoy, what did the lawmakers say?
Hi, Pia. Lawmakers want to rush the investigation of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno's income tax records and finish the job within 2 weeks. This came after Internal Revenue Deputy Commissioner Arnel Gubalya was unable to answer lawmakers' questions related to Sereno's tax records. It can be recalled that in the previous hearings, it was revealed that Sereno failed to file her statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALN, 17 times when she was teaching at the University of the Philippines from 1986 until 2006. Now, the BIR presented her income tax records from 2006 to 2010. Gubalya says they find no anomaly. However, lawmakers seem unconvinced that they ordered a more thorough investigation.
We ask from you a report. A summary report that will present all of these incomes vis-a-vis tax payments. So kung hindi pa nagagawa yan, perhaps an investigation is the proper mode of obtaining all of this information in a comprehensive manner. 1 week, is that sufficient?
I think 1 week is not enough, Mr. Chair, because
2 weeks.
We will try our best for the 2 weeks, because when I come back to office, then we will initiate the issuance of the letter of authority, and then we will serve this to the Chief Justice, the letter of investigation. Then that will formalize the audit, and then within the powers of the BIR, then we can get all the incomes that the Chief Justice had made.
Sereno's camp condemns the move. The Chief Justice's lawyer, Attorney Josa Dainla, says the lawmakers are on a fishing expedition to find dirt to throw at the Chief Justice. She says they're confident that the investigation of BIR will reveal that the Chief Justice has dutifully paid her taxes. Pia.
McCoy, this is also the first time the controversial IT consultant that the Chief Justice hired faced lawmakers today. What happened?
Well, lawmakers find it anomalous that the IT consultant Helen Makasait was paid 250,000 pesos per month. Now, Makasait, before lawmakers, explains that the payment that the Supreme Court was giving her was much lesser than the payment that she was receiving with her other transactions with other government agencies before. She said that in her transaction with the GSIS, she was paid more than 900,000 pesos per month before. Lawmakers are still grilling Makasait and the other Supreme Court officials involved in this IT transaction in question. Pia.
Makoy Popioco there reporting live from the Batasang Pambansa. Still no end in sight to Mayon's unrest, but authorities continue to help residents cope with the situation. Aside from providing relief goods, they go the extra mile by cheering up the evacuees. CN Arcangel reports.
Soldiers and policemen laid down their arms for a day to jam with residents of Camalik Albay who have made Barrio High School their temporary home. Clad in their uniforms, they danced to the tune of Baby Shark with the children and sang popular hits. As Mayon volcano continues to spew ash and lava, these men in uniform decided to cheer up evacuees and for a moment, forget about the difficulties of living in evacuation centers. They have been going around schools in Albay as part of Oplan Kaugmahan, which means happiness in the Bicolano dialect.
At least 4 hours na ginagawa nating entertainment para makalimutan nila for a while yung mga situation nila dito as evacuees, yung boredom, yung anxiety, and then yung uncomfortability nila dito sa area na wala sila sa kanilang bahay, yun ang ina-address natin.
Aside from holding a mini concert, the soldiers and policemen give food and face masks to the evacuees and free haircuts for men. Lilet Solano, who's pregnant with her 5th child, says Oplan Kaugmahan removes her worries even just for a while.
masaya kasi kahit papano na alis din yung stress namin na ganito, tulad nito, dapat nagmumukmuk kami sa room. Nga nakakalimutan minsan yung problema.
Rina Maritongo, another evacuee, says the happiness that soldiers and policemen give them is just as important as the relief goods they receive.
Nagpapasalamat kami kasi may mga tumutulong sa amin at saka sa konti mang binibigay nila, napapasaya yung mga bata, tapos yung mga matatanda din.
With no end to Mayon's unrest in sight for now, evacuees will need not just food and shelter but also tender loving care. Cian Arcangel, CNN Philippines.
A Filipina caretaker is reported missing after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake hit Taiwan. That's according to an information officer of the Manila Economic and Cultural Office in the Chinese province. Jerry de Belen said the Filipina is presumed to be trapped in one of the damaged buildings. The earthquake struck just before midnight Tuesday near Hualien City, killing at least 7 people and injuring over 200 others. Authorities said 4 buildings in the city were either tilting or had collapsed. They added 76 people are still unaccounted for. 600 military personnel and more than 750 firefighters are working round the clock to help with rescue efforts. Here are the stories making headlines around the globe. Japan's Princess Mako is postponing her engagement and wedding to fiancé Kei Komuro until at least 2020. The couple was set to be formally engaged in March, with the wedding scheduled for November. They said in a Tuesday statement that they were having second thoughts about marrying so soon. The princess added that they had rushed various things and needed more time to plan their future together. Excitement swept the country last year after it was announced that plans were underway for the princess to marry Komuro, who is a commoner. Marrying him would require the princess to give up her royal status. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is sending his younger sister to South Korea for the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. That's according to a statement from South Korea's Unification Ministry. The 30-year-old Kim Yo-jong will be joining Pyongyang's high-level delegation led by Parliament President Kim Yong-nam. This is the first time any member of the Kim dynasty has visited the South. The two were born to the same mother. Winter Olympics begin on Friday in Pyeongchang. The world's most powerful rocket, the Falcon Heavy, takes flight from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The rocket was built by aerospace company SpaceX, headed by billionaire Tesla CEO Elon Musk. SpaceX was able to direct 2 side boosters to land upright back on Earth in a never-before-seen feat. It was unclear at first whether or not the flight would be successful. Musk said it would either be a great rocket launch or a great fireworks display, but everything went seamlessly. We'll take you on a trip to Italy as we hit the streets of Italy's fashion and finance capital, Milan. That story and more here in Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.